14 for the Bengals as they take on the Rams in St. Louis on Sunday. A game you'll hear live, of course, on ESPN 1530. You know, YouTube is filled with a lot of different things. But one of them you're seeing a lot of nowadays are kind of weird people in their basement talking about their favorite NFL teams. Since I'm a little bit of a weird person and I have a basement, I figured I would shoot one of those videos as we talk about the game this week. Here's my basement. Now, there's one thing you often see in these videos, and it's usually people who might be missing a filter, and they're talking about their favorite teams, and they're in their basement. They've also got stuff like, I don't know, a helmet or, I don't know, whatever this is here, or they're wearing like some hat from a division championship from 6 years ago, and of course they're always clad in jerseys. I've got all that stuff. Not really sure why I have this. I got to be honest with you, I'm really kind of just doing this today so I don't have to go into the office. I'm not on the radio this afternoon. There's really no reason for me to be there, so look, we're just going to do this from my basement. Anyway, this week, it's Cincinnati and St. Louis in football. Bengals-Rams doesn't have the cachet of Reds-Cardinals. I've compared it all week to two high school football rivals settling their differences on the volleyball court. This is like Elder and St. X playing tennis. An angry Elder or St. X tennis dad can email me, mo@espn1530.com. This game is kind of refreshing to me because we're not attaching labels to it. It is a must-win, but it also doesn't have the intensity of Steelers or Ravens or Texans. This is a game where I think unequivocally, and I think you could say this for the first time in weeks, the Bengals absolutely should win on Sunday. I'm also excited for the game because the Rams are breaking out my favorite uniforms. So not my favorite uniforms of all time, but at least my favorite Rams uniforms. Remember back when they were in Los Angeles? Kids, the Rams used to be in L.A. Or when they were in St. Louis for the first 6 or 7 years when they won the Super Bowl in 1999. They wore the yellow, kind of lighter blue uniforms. Those are slick. Those are being busted out on Sunday. The last time the Rams wore those, they upset the New Orleans Saints about 6 weeks ago at home. But this is still a game the Bengals should win. And look, this is an oversimplification. If they show up, going to be okay. Now, showing up for this team hasn't meant show up in the mental sense. Pretty much every game over the last 5 weeks, they've gone through lulls. Early against Pittsburgh, middle of the game against Baltimore, 3 quarters against Cleveland, the final 3.5 quarters against the Pittsburgh the second time around, in the fourth quarter last week. I think if this team avoids that, they're going to be okay. I think this team finally breaks out. I think they take out some frustration on the St. Louis Rams. And I do think they respond. I think after all the importance put on last week's game, Marvin Lewis saying it's the biggest game he's coached in, I think this team comes off the mat. I think he does a good job with this team this week. St. Louis still has Steven Jackson, but he's only averaging about 4.4 yards a carry, and so I think they're going to do a decent enough job against him. Carlos Dunlap comes back this week. It is another backup quarterback. Kellen Clemens, in all likelihood, is going to be the starter, and he hasn't been in St. Louis for more than 2 weeks. And this is a defense that you can score against. Offensively, St. Louis scoring less than 12 points a game. St. Louis, a little bit of a mess defensively. They've lost 7 games this year by more than 2 touchdowns. I think the Bengals do it to him again this week. I think the key is basically protect Andy Dalton. The Rams do get to the quarterback at a pretty frequent level. I think 35 sacks so far this season for the Rams. They can put a decent pass rush on teams. But I think the Bengals are going to be able to protect Andy. I think they're actually going to have a blowout win this week. I'm going to go 28-10. The playoff hopes stay alive. And on to the next week against the Arizona Cardinals, a game that scares me. But the Bengals get the job done in St. Louis this week. Email me, mo@espn1530.com, or you can send me a tweet at moegger1530. Have a nice weekend, and hooday!